Hey there, CPO here, and I have another RealFlight 7 tip for you. And this one involves setting up mixes using the software controller if you have the Interlink Elite edition of RealFlight. So there are some mix capabilities, and actually not too bad. And the reason I'm doing this actually is I was kind of perusing Facebook, and I was on the RealFlight Facebook page, and saw somebody had asked a question back a little while ago if they can get an aileron and a rudder mix on the Interlink Elite controller. And so I thought to myself, how do you do that? So I decided to go find out and then make a video to share. So here it is. All right, so the first thing we need to do is make sure we understand our channel mapping in our RealFlight Elite controller. So go down to Select Controllers, and then you'll get a menu option where you can edit your Interlink Elite. Click Edit, and what we're going to do is just make note of what functions are assigned to what channels. Aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, all of that, even your switches. In this case, I'm also going to make a note of channel 5 as a switch I might want to use. You'll see that later. Just hit OK there. We're not going to do anything else to it. Just make note of that. Then go in and edit your model. When you get into the model editing screen, you can see here that as you move your controller sticks and switches, it will show you real time what's being affected. Now here you see for the software radio, each channel has an output, and then for each output is an associated input. So your input is what it is that you want to manipulate the channel, and the output is the thing that it's going to result. In this case, you can see here channel 1, which is assigned to our aileron, has dual inputs, and you can see here the input is a channel 4 with an output of channel 1, and that's some mixing that's already built into this particular model. But if you look, channel 2, generally you'll see an input and an output matching. So, channel 2 is our elevator, and it's got an elevator output. So let's do some simple aileron and rudder mixing. So go in and add a simple input to channel 4, which is the rudder. And what we're going to basically say is, let's associate channel 1 as the input. So when we move our aileron, our stick for aileron, we want it to affect the rudder. By default, it's at 100%. And you can see here when I move the aileron stick, it moves everything. We can change the percentage. So let's say I just want 20% rudder. I can reverse it if I need to. In this case, I don't need to. But then you can see quite simply how we can add a quick mix that says when we move our aileron, just give it a little bit of rudder. That comes in great for flaps and elevator, for example. There's a lot of great reasons. You can bump it up. I'm going to bump it up to 70 here just so we can see, a little bit more movement there. You're going to want to save the model. I would save it as a unique model. I always put my initials in front of whatever model I'm editing so that I have a unique name for it. And then we can close out. And you can see here now, if I just move the aileron stick, that it's also impacting my rudder. So as you can see, that's just a really simple way to make a quick aileron rudder mix. Let's do something a little bit more advanced. Let's go back into our model. And in this case, actually, let me delete these mixes we just created. Get rid of that. Okay, so let's do a sort of a snap roll sort of a thing, but let's put it on a switch. So for a snap roll, I'm going to want full rudder, full elevator, and full aileron, all in the same direction. And I'm going to associate it with a switch. So in this case, I've decided that switch number 5 is the one I want to use, channel 5, which is normally the dual rate switch. So I'm going to go to the output for channel 1 and add a complex input feed. That's going to give us a little bit more options, and you'll see here where we're going to use a curve to make things work the way we want. For the input channel, I want channel 5. That's the switch. And as you can see, it's either on or off. It's negative 100 or 100 is the switch output. Well, that doesn't work very well because when I'm not using the switch, I want the control surfaces to be neutral, not all the way at one extreme or the other. So we can go in and set a curve. And on the right-hand side here is where we set the output. And with the switch in the up position, I want the output to be 0. I'm a little haphazard here. I left it at 1, but it really should be 0. And now you can see when the switch is enabled, it moves the ailerons, and when it's disabled, when it's in the up position, it goes back to neutral. So the other thing I want to do here is I want to make the control surfaces much grander. We've got more room than 100%. We can actually bump it to 140, and in this case, I want to switch directions. So I move it completely to the positive 140. Now when I flip the switch, you can see I get a right aileron. I'm going to make this a right snap roll. So flip switch, right aileron, perfect. Now let's go to the next channel, channel 2, which is the elevator. I'm going to add, again, another complex input feed. Make sure my input channel is the switch, switch 5. Now when I flip switch 5, I get both aileron and elevator. It looks like it's going in the right direction, but again, remember, I want to have no change when the switch is in the up position. So I'm going to bump that to 0. I'm going to drag that other one to 140 on the minus side this time. It was going in the right direction, just to get the full extreme movement here. So there we go, switch 5. Now you can change logic to overwrite all other feeds if you want. But what that means is it will ignore your stick input when you flip the switch. I want to have stick input and switch input. So, but there are options when you might want to override. Now we go to channel 4, which is our rudder. Again, add another complex input field because we still need that curve. Select your input as channel 5, and you click first, and then you get the little option to edit the curve. Set the output to neutral at the top position. Let me just check my direction. It's going the wrong way, so I'm going to bump it all the way up to positive 140. And now when I flip the switch, I get all 3 motions in one time, and it just comes and goes as I flip this. So let's save the model and check it out. So as you can see here, I'm getting a complete free surface movement just by flipping this switch up and down. So that's kind of cool. So let's put that into practice and go for a flight. Now, I'm not sure how practical this is for simulator use, but it definitely demonstrates the capability for mixing. So watch what happens when I flip that switch. Boom, snap roll. And the timing of the roll basically is timed by when I turn on and turn off the switch. So obviously, the better timed my switching is, the better the snap rolls are going to be. But as you can see here, I'm not making any adjustments other than flipping that switch to do the roll. So that's just a couple of examples of how to do some mixing in the software radio using RealFlight 7 and the Interlink Elite controller. So I hope that's helpful for somebody. Again, the application here, is going to be up to you. I'm not saying these are practical reasons to do mixing. For example, the default SBOC plane has a mix that adds in just a little bit of aileron with the rudder. It's, I think, a 10 or 11% aileron. That mix is already in there by default. You can go look at that. And the reason that mix is there is so that when you use the rudder, it doesn't go into a roll. So there's a lot of valid reasons to have some mixing options. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.